Hello. Today's subject is going to be about relationships. That can be extremely deep, complex, even heavy subject. But I recently had a sharing session. I don't call them counseling sessions. I consider it sharing sessions because I'm still learning every day how to relate to others, hopefully in a better way. In a lighter way. So I have to think that relationships go back to our original the beginning, how we form, our practice to relate to another human being. Our first relationships usually are our parents. And if it's not our parents, it's other family. And if it's not our family, it could be a community. Let's see how it gets more complicated and more complicated. Because our initial memories of trying to relate with other people is even formed before we can speak. So I can make this more general. It's lighter to make it more general conversation. So what I initiated in my last sharing session is that at the end of the day, we're all human, and all we really want is to be treated decent, not disrespected, not ignored, not taken for granted, and not abused. At the end of the day, I did say in my last sharing session that all I really cared about was how someone treating me on a daily basis. in all the relationships that I've had, that was the starting point of me talking to the opposite sex, or starting to get involved with the opposite sex, or starting a new relationship. I've always said to the person, at the end of the day, all I really care about is how you treat me. I didn't have a list. He didn't have to be 6 feet tall. He didn't have to be dark and handsome and suave and cool and rich and sporty. I wanted to get to know whoever they were. If I was interested, if they interest me, I would probe that interest just to get to know a person and be able to relate on an everyday basis, on human basis, on a even mutual respectful basis. In hopes that we could just all get along. That's it. Just to get along. Just to be able to relate. Just to keep things light. Just to spend time with others. Just for the purpose of sharing. Being a part of a person's life. Sharing that. Being a part of the community. Sharing things with others in the community. So we could get along. That's it. It was all about just being able to have an exchange where no one feels disrespected or taken for granted or ignored or abused in any way. But there's things that interfere with people trying to find that connection. A lot of things get lost in translation when you deal with someone on an everyday basis. It's going to be misunderstandings. There's going to be days when you should have communicated better and didn't. There's going to be days when you're exhausted and don't want to talk at all. Those are the kind of things that offend others. And it probably makes their insecurities come out. And the insecurities make defensive walls go up. One thing leads to another, then they're disrespectful, then they're distant, then they could take you for granted, then they could ignore you, then they could be disrespectful, and then they could be frustrated and go as far as physically abusive. All of these things are gradual things that happen. Very gradual things when you get involved. You're so involved. It can make you more sensitive because you have a lot of feelings for the person. You want them to be careful with your feelings. So that's why I created this forum, to remind myself and others to remember to be careful with others, to remember to not ignore someone. Be careful not to say something disrespectful. That's careless. And people want, others want you to care. They want you to care. And when you act like you don't, their feelings are so involved that it hurts. It's hurtful. You take it for granted. They get defensive. They close up. It's very gradual. The person you were intimate with looks like your enemy. It's very hurtful. So hurtful. Someone that you valued so highly is misunderstanding you to the point where they're acting superior. Like what you say means nothing. How you feel means nothing. Very hurtful. Very hurtful. So, if you could be more careful how you express yourself, if you could be careful how to say how you feel, if you could be careful and still express yourself, just what the word is, careful. Care. You care enough to be sensitive, that the person's not belittled when you say something. If you care that the person is not lesser than you when you say something intelligent. won't be misunderstood if you're saying it to share, if you're saying it to be honest, if you're saying it because you really do care. If you're not careful, it's gonna sound mean. They're gonna take it personal because they're gonna be hurt. You're not compassionate with them. It's not intimate anymore. It's abusive. If you're raising your voice to express something, it's abusive to make them feel guilty if they have strong feelings on some subject. And it's abusive to raise your hand to another person to cause pain. Consciously or unconsciously, it's abuse. So, we should relate better. We have to try to relate to each other better, lighter, not this heavy weight you want to put on them. Take that, or I'll teach you, or it's all your fault. Blame, That's not care. Gradually, it's going to break down. It's going to break down to disrespect, distance, walls, and even abuse. So, I just want to remind us to care. That's all we want from each other at the end of the day. Compassion, understanding, somebody to care. That's all. Just want to remind myself of that. I want to share that, remind others of that. So, that was my subject for today. If you're in relationship, any relationship, all relationships that you have, be careful. Be understanding. Try to relate. Put yourself in someone else's shoes for a minute. Just for a minute. Just try. Just try. Be careful. Be caring. And compassionate. We all need it. We all need that.